thank you for coming. So today with us is the Regulatory Affairs Officer. Oh, hi Ms. Jivita, how are you? Hope you're doing fine.
Hi Sushma, good evening. I'm absolutely fine. Thank you for inviting me onto this show. Hi guys, I'm Jivita Kanaparti, working as a Regulatory Affairs Officer in Mylan Laboratories, which is now known as Viatris. So today, as a Regulatory Affairs professional, I would like to have everyone a little bit information what regulatory is comprised of, what exactly is happening in the present field, and what a fresher has to know about when he or she wants to enter into the regulatory affairs field, and what are my past, present, and current experiences on the field. So Sushma, thank you so much again for inviting me here.
Sure, definitely, it's our pleasure. So let's dig into our interview questions regarding regulatory affairs, which so many of our viewers have asked. Okay, so number one question is, Ms. Jivita, please tell us about yourself, like your past experience and present what you are doing, so that our viewers have a background, mindset. Okay, she's that person. So carry on.
Okay. To be in a nutshell, I'm Jivita. I'm working for the past 6 years in Regulatory Affairs Formulation Department, and after my master's in pharmacy from the field of pharmaceutics, I was directly posted into a formulation regulatory affairs in the first company called Natco Pharma Limited. So I worked there for 2 years, 10 months, and presently I'm into Mylan for the past 3 years, and I'm working into the formulation regulatory affairs for US post-approval market. So this is my a brief background, and to be very fortunate enough to work in Natco, I have been exposed to different markets like US, Europe, Brazil, Canada, and other emerging markets. And for the present experience of myself is in Mylan, where my profile is exactly changed to US post-approval market, which is a very, very, very vast market. And you come across regulatory diversifying guidances and your present virtual experiences. So this is my basic thing, and everything about regulatory affairs we'll discuss in the coming sessions.
Okay, so you have almost total experience in regulatory. How much?
6th year.
6th year. So 6 years of, and that too in drug regulatory affairs. So this session will be about interviews for the companies who are core is about drug. And as Ms. Jivita has said, Mylan, which was now has been acquired by Pfizer, named as Viatris. So she is present there. Okay, so coming to second question, and Ms. Jivita, as you yourself has been through various interviews. So for freshers, for regulatory affairs, our viewers are very much interested to know like what you see in a candidate, and expect them to have a knowledge of being selected in that interview.
Yes, as I've said you, in 2015, February 6th was my joining in Natco. Prior to that, in the month of January, I've been through an interview for almost, I was a fresher at that time, so I've been interviewed by the Director of Operations, Natco Pharma Limited, Dr. B.R. Reddy. He took my interview for almost 30 minutes, and the prior point of interview was, how was I suitable for the Regulatory Affairs Department? So my questions went through like what I've been doing through B Pharmacy, my masters in pharmacy, and what were my projects were, and what were my curriculum, and what extra activities put into the pharmacy field, such as paper presentations, poster presentations, and any awards or any word apart from the bookish knowledge. What the Director of Operations thought was, how will I be useful to a pharmacy industry? That was his prior point on the interview. So I just he asked me everything. Then I am very good at that time, so of course I am now even. So I just interviewed all the questions and I answered them. And directly after 13 days, I got a letter saying that you have been directly into a formulation regulatory department. I was very unsure, I was very uncertain. I don't know what exactly the departments are, what each department functions, because I was very fresher at that time. So when I called up my seniors and I asked, I've been placed into a formulation regulatory, they were like, oh, really? They were so shocked, and
And you haven't prepared, before getting it for the interview, you didn't go to any course, right? For
nothing. It was my just Masters of Pharmacy. December 18th, 2014 was my convocation day, and January 13th or 14th was my interview, and Feb 6th was my joining. It's less than a 15-20 days gap in everything that has happened. So that's how
So
things.
it was not a campus recruitment. No.
And directly I was into formation regulatory. Then the Feb 6 was my joining, and I directly went and joined. I stayed there in the company quarters for 2 years, 10 months. Every weekend I used to, just go come, and that's how I worked for 2 years, 10 months. And in the month of December 2017, due to my personal constraints, like my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, I had to come back to where I could not stay away from her, and I resigned from the NATCO, which was my first love. I could say my first company indeed. Then I came back.
Definitely, for the first company there will be an attachment.
Of course, yes.
Because there you are in budding stage and you're growing and grooming and everything is going on.
Perfectly. Then after one of my senior referred me to Milan, and on December, something around I don't remember the date exactly, I got into Milan interview. I've been interviewed by two professionals, I can't name them, but
Yeah,
still there were two senior.
I can understand that.
Yeah, there were two senior people who interviewed me for 1 hour 45 minutes,
Oh my god.
almost close to 2 hours. They made juice out of me, and they
So
asked
in
me.
spite of having years
Close
of
to 3.
experience, okay, near to 3, still had that much prolonged interview session.
Yeah,
Okay.
because the senior team, along with two HR professionals, all 4 were there, and me and my mom, both of us went, because I carry my mom wherever I go, and she was sitting outside, and I was in the cabin for the interview. Then they started from the basics, like what is my educational background from B Farm, M Farm, and my other past company experiences. So they took me like 1 hour 45 minutes, where they asked me every nook and corner of the questions, and exclusively based on the US market, because the interview was on the US post-approval market.
Okay.
So even till I came to Milan, I didn't know that a market can be diagnosed into two these things, like pre and post. I don't know. So because in the previous company we used to do everything all together, but coming back to here, we were like
Separated,
segregated to
specific.
the things were very specific, and you have to do this, you have to do that, and everything is like that. Then after 1 hour 45 minutes interview, I'm like, maybe because of my vocabulary or my command on the subject, my people, the interview team were very happy with my performance, and within a week or so I got a call saying that you were selected, and things continue. And presently I'm very happy with working in Milan, which is a giant after Pfizer, and after merging now with Pfizer, it's not acquisition, it's merging.
Okay.
We have been to Viatris, are very, established. 2 brands are coming together, and that's how my interview went. And so that's how, and they touched to be in a touch base. They told me, they asked me everything. Like they didn't ask me only about my past work experience. They touched to me even from my basics of the pharmacy. What subjects what did I study? What lab experiments did I do? And how it exactly useful in the current work experience. They have correlated what we studied, what we work, and what am I going to work. They have linked all together, and they asked me.
Okay. So, can you please be specific, like this question was asked, this question was asked. In terms of, okay, I can understand, as you have said that they have asked you about past, before work experience, after work experience, and now what is your knowledge they have checked, right? So, okay, we can understand the subjects and all, that is a general, viewers can also answer that. But regarding the regulatory, what type of questions they have asked?
Yeah, that's a good question again, and I exactly don't remember. Of course, I remember to an extent, because it's now 3rd year I've been into Milan. So here, what happened? The senior team has asked me a question. How did the textbook called Lackman and Lieberman has helped you in your work experience? Which is a little bit tricky question, but it is a very intelligent question. Because the Lieberman Lackman is considered as a Bible of pharmacy, because it has everything. So suppose if I open like this, and if I see in process checks, for example, the tablet, dissolution time, whatever, if I see that, so in today's experience, when I review a batch manufacturing record or some process validation report or anything, I could just know what in-process tricks a different type of formulation should have. So in that way, Lieberman has helped me, Lackman book. And coming to pharmaceutical engineering, what we the collections, what is inventory, what is PPIC, everything, that helped. For example, there is a labeling revision happening for your product, and you see that your existing literature outlets are pending, and you just can't discard, because that where the inventory will come. And so that's how the pharmaceutical engineering will help.
Yes.
And for example, pharmacognosy or ecology might help during research for R&D department and everything. Pharmacognosy also will help to an extent if I go to Ayurvedic or herbal formulations.
Okay.
Fortunately, we are not.
Cosmetics and herbals, right? Okay.
But we are not that much exposed for that. And so this is how they asked me. So what apart from having these questions, they were testing me how much grasping power I have, how much memory do I have, and how much capable am I to correlate the subject study to the work experience, because you can't sit now open and study
No.
everything back.
Yes, obviously. Yeah.
So we are tested in such a way how commanded are we on the subject. So that's how the questions were, and they asked me some guidances, which I will tell you in the later stage. They asked me guidances and the limits, what has to be my specification, and what guidance you refer for so and so product.
Okay. So for a fresher, like you went to an art school, right? So that time, what type of questions were asked?
What questions I had gotten at? The first question was, as everyone will expect, what about yourself, your family background, your educational background, and everything. Later, 2 to 3 minutes later, the director of operations of BRD has got into the subject. He was asking me, just tell me about what subjects you have studied.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. I remember I said cognosy, ecology, chemistry, CNP, organic chemistry, physical chemistry, cosmetics, technology, everything, whatever I did. So he was looking for pharmaceutics background, which I have studied. So he asked me another question: what formulations did you study in Lieberman Lackman?
Oh.
I told it was like tablets, capsules, creams, ointments, emulsions, suspensions, and ODT, chewable tablets, and everything. And later, what experiments did you do in your lab?
Oh, okay. So everything was like whatever you studied. From that only they have asked. Or any other specific which you might feel this I didn't knew certain question was there.
Honestly speaking, I didn't have that experience, because he asked me the moment I said, maybe my vocabulary has helped me much. So he was like, okay, I want this girl in my department, and he just took me in. And
So see guys, conversation plays a very important role along with the questionnaires. It's not about just how to prepare, what things to prepare before going to regulatory interview. It's almost like 50 to 60% conversation, your confidence, your personality, everything that also matters a lot.
mainly your posture, gestures, and the way and the confidence you speak about. And if you don't get panic, or don't let your body say that I'm confused, I'm stressed, or something else, because there will be some situations where you have to leave everything up only with your work. You have you get the situations which I've faced many times. Not only me, everyone in their professional career will face that.
Yes.
That shouldn't, the house pressures, your personal pressures should never affect your work environment, your body, which has to support your work. That way, so. And later, he asked me 2 to 3 questions regarding regulatory affairs. I said I don't know, because I just finished my masters and I gone for an interview, and I said I'm not sure, because you have to admit it when you don't know. Don't try to cover up, and don't try to make a khichdi out of that. Whatever you know, just speak it out. Whatever you don't know, just remain calm, saying that I'll let you know, or I'll learn. But never ever try to cover up, because that gives an impression where you start
Your honesty will be
in question.
reflected there. How much honest you are.
So that's how the interview went for a NATCO, and typically I just got it like this, and I just when I joined in my department.
Okay. So, yeah, one more question. Like, you have already answered that, but still, I want to make it clear that is it necessary to have a certificate of regulatory affairs, or in other words, is it necessary to do a course in regulatory affairs to get into this field?
Frankly speaking, it's
Whether you are, sorry to interrupt, whether you are a B Farm, M Farm, Farm.
okay. So to be honest, that depends on the individual. Because when I was doing my masters or my bachelor's from 2000 to 14, all the 6 years, we never knew that there is a department called regulatory as a college students, and that will be certification. There is certification also. None of us know. So people like lucky, the so-called lucky people like me, they'll get into regulatory. And one of my interview colleagues, I could say, he was posted from a production department. After 2 years, he asked me whether should I do any course to join regulatory. After I joined the NATCO, I said, I don't know. Because I'm into regulatory, I'm safe enough. I don't know whether
Because I am also in regulatory, but I never did a course for regulatory.
even I'm not sure. So I said I'll let you know, because I don't want to disclose wrong information. I don't want to confuse him, and I gave information. Then later, upon a casual discussion with my seniors, with my boss and everything, who was extremely friendly, she told me that depends on the individual again. Because if you want to
Explore before getting into the field, then it is okay.
it's up to you.
Yeah,
If
that
you want
is-
to study.
But it is not necessary that you will get a job only if you do that course.
That will be an added advantage. Anything additional is always beneficial.
Yeah.
You can just
Okay.
underline the statement. Anything additional will be beneficial.
Beneficial, and in online we have already a video in our YouTube that free online courses for regulatory. You do not need to pay 25,000 for just knowing about the regulatory and basics. You can do that with the freely available resources. So check it out in the channel. Okay, next question we have is like how fresher has to prepare for regulatory affairs interview. I know it's like round and round again same coming to that, but
Yeah.
I want to know specific questions. Like for me in 2019 when I joined, they have in the interview they have asked me, like first it was like aptitude type questionnaire written. First round it was there, then second round it was face to face. So in that they have asked me clinical research related questions. They have asked me like what do you know about labeling, and why do you want to get into this field? Like because I am PharmD, so most of them we are lean towards other fields. But you are here, like they have questions. So specific type certain questions were there asked you, were there been certain things asked to you?
To be honest, as a fresher, I told you, there is only a 15-day gap where I was in a tour to the abroad, and my dad suddenly rang me up and he said me, Rajendra, you have an interview. I was even not sure that I will have an interview. I didn't prepare, I just convocated, and I'm happy, see, like, I can just go around for some time and get back into my, and go for the professional other steps. So as a, miniaturely experienced person for a 6 year, I could tell you, for a fresher, you need to have command over whatever you study, because you never know where comes, how and when. So what subject will influence your workplace, you never know. Suppose if you're interested only in statistics and you leave chemistry, that doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Because you have to pass in the exam to get a certificate, and later
Chemistry is compulsory for everything.
because when you get a report, when you get a drug structure, or you need to know, I'll explain later why exactly. I'll explain not right now only. Suppose for example, we study about primary amines, tertiary amines, secondary amines, everything in our chemistry. We feel that okay, what does the amines do to us? But as a current agency expectations, I think everyone are aware enough that all the sartans, like valsartan, olmesartan, telmisartan, candesartan, everything are now running behind nitrosamine impurities, which are very, very fatal. So the agency had developed a guidance saying that every amine is prone to, finally give you a nitrosamine impurity, which will definitely put an effect on your body. So you have to study chemistry and have to, just recollect when you get a report of nitrosamine in your hand. You have to just see where the amine link is there, how it will exactly, link up, and how it will exactly give you an impurity which will affect your body. So in this way, every subject will give you a one or two instances that we are there. Subjects will say we are there, we are important, okay? And as a fresher also, you have to be confident enough you have to say whatever you know and have command on everything you study. It's not like you study today, go spit it out tomorrow on the exam paper and you forget the next day. It's not like that.
Yes.
Read everything, analyze everything, remember everything. Not everything, but at least to a bit of a level where if you suddenly tomorrow, if you're from Naukri or somewhere else, if you get a call, suppose tomorrow it might be a telephonic interview also, at least you have to be able to say something, but not nothing. You can't just be idle and dumb in the interviewer's face. And as a fresher, I would tell you, when you are trying to enter into regulatory department, you need to understand what a regulatory department is, what it exactly does, and what is the importance, and what is the essence of being a regulator as a professional. So these are the basics, and as a fresher and as an experienced person in both way, I would just generally say one thing: if you are going tomorrow for an interview, stay safe and stay calm today night, and the previous days have a very good command on interview what you are supposed to give. If you are a fresher, take just brush up every subjects you studied in your 4 years or 6 years of course. Could it be B Farm, could be M Farm or Farm D, anything. Just make a list of subjects whatever you have and what are you good at and what you need, because we ourselves better know where are the improvement issues and
the general questions everywhere they will be asking, like tell us about yourself, why do you want to be interviewed or selected in our company, so background check of that company. So those basic questions everyone knows, and in YouTube so many videos already are available, so we are not getting into that deeply. We are just relating to technical interview questions. We are mainly focused to that. Okay, Ms. Jeevita, please tell us, as you are in a drug regulatory, so we want to know what is the type of departments are there in drug regulatory, and is it, and I know, or I may be thinking that there is a possibility of 100% that no one will get into a specific department by their will. It depends upon the company needs, then they will go to that, and later on, if they have more experience in that department, they will be specialized in that. And later on further, then they have to, if they want to go to another company, they have to see whether that company needs my specialization. Is it correct what I am thinking?
To an extent, let me correct it in another way.
Okay.
So in the pharmacy industry, you have n number of departments which when put all together will give you a final product. It's not like, you get, there will be an API vendor, the drug substance vendor, your excipient vendor, and everyone will be there. And come to an industry, you have production, quality assurance, quality control, and warehouse and storerooms, and production department, inventory control, sourcing team, planning team, budget team, and most important, you will have an R&D team and regulatory team. So it's all together. When you link up the dots, you get a rangoli the same way.
Happy Sankranti.
And that way you have to link up everything, and that will give a final product.
In regulatory,
we have two different teams as far as I know. One is the API team, that is drug substance regulatory, and the other is drug product, which is also called as formulation regulatory department. And these two are the main key areas. Especially I work on formulation regulatory, where I am involved in all the final products like tablets, capsules, OVT, chewables, everything. Whatever tablet we take, the product we take, that is called a finished product, which is a drug product. That's a formulation, and I'm into that. And the API team is the team which exclusively, which exclusively will work on API, that is the drug substance and the bulk drug, what's your name you
Chemical.
call. The main drug that gives in pharmacological action.
Okay.
That is called as the API team. And these two are, and they are differentiated into different markets.
Okay.
See, it's not like, see, we have a number of supermarkets going on. The same way, we have different markets like, US market, Europe, emerging, and, MEDA countries, and everything. Blah, blah, blah will come,
In line it is there. Okay, so as you have broadly divided as API and formulation, but I have, while we are there is a conversation going on, you have said I am in post-approval. So in formulation also, is there any subdivision?
Yeah, we have.
So please,
We
please share us.
We have. It is,
For drug regulatory, I'm saying, guys.
it's just typical to a formulation regulatory.
Yeah.
Nothing but the Sushma said, and it is divided into, it's not divided, it is classified, I could say. Not even classified.
Just broadly.
It's a pre and post
A grey
approval.
market, it's a grey line, we can say, between the work done.
So it's a pre and post approval. Pre approval is from the developing stage to the submission stage, and post approval is once your product is approved by the agencies like US FDA, EU, MHRA, and the other regional regulatory bodies. Whatever change you make from the product on the product at your industry level, that involves post approval changes, which are very important because that impacts the life cycle of the product. Whatever small change you make in your product will definitely impact the revenue in the product existence in the market between these many generic competitors. That is a very important, very crucial, and very tricky department that post approval involves. I'm not praising because I'm into that, but this is the real scenario
Okay.
that happens.
Okay. And pre-approval?
And pre-approval,
Before it comes into the market, the activities are done, there comes under pre-approval.
the moment you the business team will identify a product where the market is there and the disease is prevalent and
Epidemiological scenario, they will see in that market.
true, and they'll say that to the R&D team. They'll call up and they'll say we have a market for this product. It is will able to be developed. Then the things will start, and they'll start developing, having A to N number of strategies, and they'll finalize one prototype formula they develop, and they do all the clinical studies. And if it is an NDA, and if it's an ANDA, they'll do this normal post-marketing studies, and they'll just submit to the agency and they answer the queries. Whatever
Agency means it can be any regulatory
it can
authority.
be USFDA, UAE, MHRA, EMEA, anything
Yes,
whatsoever.
Anything.
So
Regulatory, it is a name. The agency generally in industry it means, and a country's regulatory body. That's it. Not a generally we say agency, consultancy. It's not like that. It's other thing.
It's a regulatory body which
That's
approves the drug and by which you are authorized to sell your drug in that market. That is called as agency,
Okay.
pertaining to the regulatory affairs.
Okay. And our next question is, Ms. Jeeta, what are your, is there any accomplishments which you might, have a great dream, very vast memory, beautiful memory, which you will keep it in your mind for a very long time? Is there any such thing?
I have such many. Presently, the first submission was for Taiwan, where without a single query, the agency has accepted the dossier, and it was for an injection for the lyophilized product, which got approved only in like 8 to 10 months, which is like a record where there is no, a single query. And one more thing, I remember exactly that is the first one, and the second one, it's for the Singapore market with the Health Science Authority, which is an agency, HSA we call about. That was for the product where every team, there was one query where none of the teams were able to answer. So as a regulatory affairs professional, it is because when every team has got like hands up, we can't do anything. As a responsible person, we have to answer the query as given by the agency. Then I opened my pharmaceutical technology book, Sutix book, everything, and I memorized. Let me try it another way, where I gave an explanation which got approved, and the product is called Granisetron for Singapore market. And That was the last query which was the product was going through, and the moment I answered today, it was a Wednesday. On Saturday we got the approval, and from Monday, the commercialization started. That was a big achievement that was for Singapore market. I'm sorry, for Singapore it was Ondan Cetron, not Granite Cetron. Granite Cetron was for Malaysia, where there were no bioequivalent studies, and we had to support our application. We got a justification. Agency accepted. That's how another achievement came.
Wow, very nice.
And for Brazil, we were first time we were entering into the market. We don't know what exactly, because the guidelines are in Portuguese and there were no English converted guidances. We had to take the affiliates help who was sitting over there, and
Authorized representatives of that country.
yeah, so we had to take their experiences, their knowledge, and that's another way where without having a minimalistic information, our dossier went through the review process, and later after I moved on from there to other company, we got approved. And for other small countries like Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and I'm just memorizing Hong Kong. Hong Kong for oseltamivir was a very big submission where we had to take some information for US market, but the DOH, the agency is called DOH, the Directory of Health, where we argued, or we had multiple conversations, multiple meetings with them, and finally after a long time, it took us almost nearly a year, where only the PAC insert was holding on for the approval. I just gave an explanation, say according to those guidelines, and finally that got approved.
So
That was in NATCO. And coming to Mylan, where the post-approval activities are very crucial, as I said earlier, those submissions where I filed majority of major submissions, like prior approval supplements and CV30 supplements, adding a site or adding an alternative API sources, where the market had a lot of impact due to the shortage. Having no query and one single query which is resolved very fast, and we had a drug for TB, which is a very new drug developed all over the world, and that is into our basket now, which we filed additional pack counts which got approved very fast. So these are one of my accomplishments, I could say, or my stepping stones or milestones, which happened not only with me, but of course with the help of my seniors and the cross-functional teams. In pharmacy industry and regulatory affairs, nothing is impersonal. Everything will go as a teamwork.
as a teamwork, yes.
And personal will come sometimes, but everyone wants to take a credit for themselves. Let me be open. It is always a teamwork.
So that is the important role as a regulatory personnel one will be doing. That's why I asked your accomplishment to convey the importance of you doing those, and how much happiness you feel like you have contributed so
because
much.
this is my product. I've done it. Because you feel when you own a product and you study about that, you get into an interest. You start learning much about the product and the market, the impact of your product on everything. So that that makes sense.
Yeah. Last question we have is that if someone is having an experience in other field apart from regulatory affairs, so and they want to shift to regulatory, so is it possible to shift, and if yes, will their experience be counted?
This is a very controversial question, I would say, because
As it depends on the organization, you might say, right?
the host is the answer. The host has given the answer, and I
But
have seen,
generally, what you say?
And sometimes in my career for 6 years, I've seen people who moved on from production QA to RA, and that depends on the knowledge that people have, the vacancies that the organization should have, and the helping hands you should have. Everything will matter. And experience, I think that might count, because I'm not the right person to ask this question, because I'm directly into the regulatory affairs. Anything I'll let you know, guys, because I'm not sure,
It
because
depends on your background, like whether you are if you are in biotechnology, so or someone is in microbiology, 1 year experience. Those things it depends, right?
It depends, yes, because I'm not sure because I'm not the right person to ask
Yeah.
and to answer because I'm directly into regulatory affairs. Because but one thing in a nutshell I can tell you, one of my colleagues are from QA department where out of his or her knowledge, no gender discrimination here. Out of their knowledge, a better term I can use, they came into RE, and the other person, due to some influence or due to some recommendations, they came. But R&D will have a lot of R&D persons will have a lot of scope to enter into RE
Okay.
because R&D and RE are like wife and husband. You
Yeah,
know,
without R&D, it
no
will not
RE.
work.
So here what happens is, as I said, they are like wife and husband. They fight every day, but they still stay together. You know,
So,
that's
yeah,
that way. You know.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jeevita. It was a very nice content and conversation with me along with my viewers. And guys, we will go into other podcasts where we will talk about device regulatory affairs interview. So keep on rolling, watch it, and have confidence.
Thank you guys. Thank you Sushma for a beautiful evening and beautiful interview. Because I hope my words are a little sensible and good that fresher or anyone whose viewing can be benefited with. And guys, anything on regulatory affairs, do post a question on the video link so that at our free time you're able to answer. Thank you so much and all the best for the freshers or the budding regulatory affairs for people who want to get a name in regulatory affairs. Thank you guys. Have a good year ahead.